Master of Evil by Adam Christopher comes out on November 11th. I got to read it a little early, so here is my spoiler-free review. It's appropriate that I'm talking about this book just before Halloween because it's pretty perfect for spooky season. I wish it were coming out today for that exact reason. It felt like reading a Star Wars Gothic horror. A year or two ago, I read Bram Stoker's Dracula for the first time, and reading Master of Evil gave me a similar feeling. Dracula is interesting because when it came out, it was the story that established a lot of the rules surrounding vampires that just about everyone in the world is now familiar with. Back then, everyone reading was wondering who this strange count was and why he's so creepy, but reading it for the first time today, it's like, obviously this dude is a vampire, everybody run! Master of Evil takes place very shortly after Revenge of the Sith. This Darth Vader person pops up out of nowhere at the Emperor's side, and nobody knows who he is, what to make of him, or what his deal is. But we, the audience, are like, obviously this dude is a Sith Lord, everybody run! More specifically, the story begins with Vader bleeding his lightsaber crystal, like we see in Charles Soule's Darth Vader run. He comes back to Coruscant and recovers, and then my best guess is that the book takes place literally in between the pages of the comic after he repairs his suit, but before he meets the Grand Inquisitor and the rest of the Inquisitorius. I know some people were concerned that the book would contradict things that were established in the comic, and I'll tell you right now, it does not. But that does bring up a point that there have already been a ton of books and comics, and I think there were a handful of prominent movies that covered Darth Vader. Yeah, that sounds about right. He's one of the most well-explored characters in all of Star Wars. I was expecting him to be the primary perspective of the book, but he isn't. That might disappoint some people. I know it surprised me early on, but I want to make it clear that I really wound up enjoying how it played out. I think it was a smart and inspired choice to make the book about the people who surround Vader and their reactions to him. Some people are in awe of him, some people hate him, but everyone is afraid of him. The primary character of the book is actually an Imperial colonel named Halland Goth, who also happens to be the commander of the Royal Guard, which off the bat is just cool. He is one of these two guards, to be specific. We don't get a lot of stories from their perspective, and I remember loving the Crimson Empire series back in the day. But early on we find out he has an illness that's killing him, and he's desperately trying to find a way to stop it, or at least slow it down and live longer. Almost like he wants to gain power over life and death itself. He's not Force sensitive, doesn't understand the Force, and fully believes the Jedi were traitors, so he's more looking for medical solutions over mystical ones, but it still puts him on an interesting parallel path as Vader. Because of course, he is still reeling from the loss of Padme. The publisher summary that's been released for the book mentions the Emperor sending Vader to investigate a shaman on the planet Deso who apparently has the power to raise the dead, which is of course something that interests both Sith Lords. I will say I think my main nitpick for the book is that this is pretty well-worn territory for Vader. He also looks for ways to resurrect Padme in Charles Soule's comics and in the Vader Immortal game. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I absolutely think he would have been asking Palpatine about the promises he made in Revenge of the Sith, but as a Star Wars completionist, it is a familiar setup. But since we don't spend a lot of time in Vader's head, it all feels fairly fresh. We know what Vader's ultimate goals are, but Goth and the other characters don't. They're all just doing their best to keep up, and they're wondering what the hell is going on. And the adventure takes them to some wild and weird places, in the best way. The MacGuffin of the story is a Vergence in the Force that's hidden away in just one of the coolest, most creative locations I've read in Star Wars in a long time. It's hard to describe without spoilers, but it's something that I remember reading with my jaw on the floor, and then rereading to make sure I read it right. It's something that makes complete sense to the point where I'm kind of shocked we've never seen it before. The Vergence itself is creepy and disorienting and atmospheric. Christopher's writing had me leaning in a lot of the time because, of course, I know what Vader is attempting to do, but I had no idea where or how he was attempting it. Like I said, the story was great if you're still in the mood for something spooky. There are spooky spells, spooky ships, spooky droids, ghosts, and possessions. I really enjoyed reading this book in October. I like when my Star Wars books are pulpy and weird, and Master of Evil kept a good balance, not ever letting things get too over the top, despite still taking some very big swings. But the book isn't just about telling a creepy Vader story, it's a story with a lesson, like most Star Wars stories are. We explore what it means to be a supposed Master of Evil. Can you master evil, or does evil become your master? Was Yoda right when he said, once you travel down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny? There are some absolutely fantastic lines about what it really means to be a Sith, and what it means to believe that your power comes from anger and fear. What it really means is that other people have power over you, because now you're more easily manipulated. You become a source of power for someone else. I found myself nodding along to everything Christopher had to say about the Force, especially the dark side. As for the non-Force sensitive characters, they had similar journeys, just minus the Force aspect. Goth specifically grapples with the idea of service. What and who does he serve? What or who does he allow to be his master? The institution he had been serving, the Republic, is now an empire. The Chancellor he protected is now an emperor. He's dealing with a lot of change on top of the fact that he's dying, so how far will he go to save himself? Especially when he's faced with Vader, who has also been mortally wounded but lives on. Like I said, I was surprised and a little hesitant to see Vader wasn't the main character of the book, but I went in with an open mind and really liked Goth's story and arc. So I think that's all I have to say without diving into spoilers. I wish it were coming out in October just for the vibes, but if you're willing to keep spooky season alive in your heart for a couple more weeks, Master of Evil felt like the perfect thing to read around Halloween. I mean, just look at the cover. It's a pretty great indication of what to expect. I'd recommend Master of Evil to Darth Vader fans, Dark Side fans, and fans who have been longing for a Star Wars horror story. The book comes out on November 11th, and so does the audiobook. If you're interested in listening to it for free, you can on Audible. Just follow the link in the description or visit audibletrial.com/Star Wars Explained, where you can sign up for a free trial that'll give you a free credit you can use to pre-order Master of Evil, or get any book you want. The point is, you get a free audiobook, and you'll be supporting the channel when you do. But that's it for today. I'll have more Master of Evil talk around the book's release date. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.